This is Benny Ricciardi with rotocurve.com, and I'm here with our DraftKings NFL defense picks for Week 13. There's not too many home favorites this week that are in really good spots. A lot of the teams and a lot of the defenses that we usually use are on the road. Some of them are still in good spots, but there are some home defenses, which is what we usually like to use for DFS, that we do think are in good spots, as well as some teams who just have really good matchups against backup quarterbacks. So we're going to call up the slideshow and go over some of the defenses that we're looking at this week that we think can help you guys win some money. The four defenses that we're going to be looking at are the New England Patriots at 3,400, the Arizona Cardinals at 3,900, Chicago Bears at 2,600, and the Miami Dolphins at 2,300. The Patriots are the first team I want to talk about. They are the biggest favorite at home this week with a -13 spread against the Eagles. They are at home, as we said, and they're averaging 3 sacks and 1.5 takeaways per game. At home, they've only allowed about 15 points per game, so their defense is even stingier at home than it is on the road. Sanchez was sacked 6 times last week, and this Patriots team is one of the teams that's towards the top of the league in sacks so far this year. It's not so much that it's a great defense that has a lot of sack artists, but what they do is, with the offense being as good as they are, the offense tends to get a lead for the defense, and that forces teams to be one-dimensional late in the game. When teams are one-dimensional, these guys can just pin their ears back and go after the quarterback, and it has been working out for them pretty well so far this year. Sanchez is averaging 2 turnovers per game since taking over as the starting quarterback, and as we said, New England should force Philly to have to abandon the run and throw the ball late in the game if they have a lead. If that's the case, I definitely think that they could wind up getting 1 or 2 takeaways from Sanchez, maybe putting him on the ground 3 or 4 times through sacks as well. And all that together, along with the low points that they usually allow at home, should add up to a pretty big day for the Patriots defense. The next team I want to talk about is the Arizona Cardinals. They've been one of the best defenses in the league we've had all year. They're favored by 4 points, and they are at home this week. St. Louis really only has one offensive player that scares anybody, and that's Todd Gurley. Arizona should have a lead in this game, which means that they could force the Rams to have to abandon the run and throw the ball a little more. It is a low total of only 44, so they should be able to get some bonus points as well, even though they are going to have to force St. Louis to throw. If they force St. Louis to throw, that plays right into the Cardinals' hands. They're averaging 2 sacks and 2 takeaways per game, and this is a very ball-hawking secondary with a solid pass rush. So whether or not they get to the quarterback, even if they can just rush him or hurry his throws, they have guys in the back like Peterson and the Honey Badger, who are guys that can really go after the football, make some plays, and they've taken a lot of interceptions and fumble recoveries back to the house already this season. So even though they are the most expensive defense on the day, I do think the Cardinals are in a really good spot. Targeting against St. Louis over the last couple of weeks has been a profitable thing to do in DFS. The next defense I want to talk about is the Chicago Bears. I don't think I've recommended the Chicago Bears all year, but they are favored by 7 and at home this week. San Francisco's offense has been pretty horrible. You got Blaine Gabbert at QB right now. You got Reuben Drones, who they picked up off the street as their #1 running back, getting 20 touches a game. And those guys really don't scare anybody. The Bears in the last 4 weeks have averaged 2 sacks, 1 takeaway, and 9 fantasy points per game. So they're playing some of the best football. The Bears defense is playing some of the best football we've seen out of them all year. San Francisco is a team that is allowing over 10 fantasy points to opposing defenses, which is in the top 6 in the league for points allowed to opposing defenses so far this year. And if you look over the course of the last couple of weeks, that number is even higher. So the Bears at 2,600 are one of those teams that if you're looking to save some salary to fit in 1 extra stud or to upgrade 1 guy and you need a couple $100, I do think the Bears are probably the place that you should be looking. If you don't like the Bears, another defense that's pretty close down there that I think might be able to have a big week is the Miami Dolphins at 2,300. They're favored by 5 in a low total game. They too are at home this week, facing a Baltimore second string at basically every spot. Joe Flacco is out. You got Matt Schaub in. Justin Forsett is out. You got Javorius Allen in. He's actually the 3rd stringer because Talia Farrell's out as well. Steve Smith, who was their #1 wide receiver, and Rashard Perryman, their #1 draft pick, were slated to be the starting wide receivers this year. Both of those guys are out. You're down to Kamar Aiken as your #1 wide receiver right now. And even tight end Crockett Gilmore was actually the backup at the beginning of the year, even though that he's played starters minutes basically since the beginning because of some injuries early in the season. Schaub made Cleveland's defense look pretty good last week, threw a couple picks, one of them that they were able to take back to the house. And Baltimore, I think, is going to be a team that we can target moving forward. You know, they're really without a lot of skill players at this point in time. They don't have a lot of playmakers on that defense. So if you're looking for a team that you can go up against, you know, basically week after week and just blindly roster a defense against, I think Baltimore is getting very close to that level and being one of those teams that you can do that with. So those are 4 of the defenses that we are looking at for this week. Pretty much sums up our defensive rankings for week 13. As always, make sure to come back and check out RotoCurve. We'll have some videos coming up for quarterback, wide receiver, running back, tight end as well. We'll also have some information coming up over on FanDuel and DraftKings up in our section. So be sure to come over to the website. Make sure you sign up for an account and make sure you take advantage of all this free knowledge that we're giving out to you guys. Thank you for joining us here at rotocurve.com. And as always, stay classy, DFS.